On this last Sunday of the year, I really believe, and wow, I just saw Cedric walking. Good to see you, man. On this last Sunday of the year, the Lord's given me a prophetic word that has implications for the rest of your year. And I'm not talking about 12, I'm talking about 13. Because I'm excited about 13. I am. I've had an incredible 2012. I hate to see it go, but it's got to go. Because as great as 12 was for myself and my wife and my family, I believe 13 gonna be 10 times better. Somebody put your mouth on that. Come on. Somebody put your mouth on the fact it's gonna be better. 1 Kings 18 says, then Elijah said to King Ahab, 1 Kings 18, verse 41, then Elijah said to King Ahab, now go and eat. I hear the roar of rain approaching. Verse 45, in a little while the sky was covered with dark clouds. The wind began to blow, heavy rain began to fall. Ahab got into his chariot, started back to Jezreel. All right, turn to your neighbor, say, neighbor, until it changes. You may be seated in the presence of the Lord. I was born by the river in a little tent. And oh, just like that river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming. But I know a change is going to come. It's been too hard living, but I'm too afraid to die. Because I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. These timeless words penned and performed by the legendary Sam Cooke are not just the painful but hopeful musings of a melancholy singer, but the private utterances of many who, in seeking to manage life, finds themselves in seasons of continual crisis and insufficiency. His blight portrayal in song awkwardly encapsulates the struggle we see in our text. For King Ahab and Israel are oppressively caught in the cruel clutches of a severe famine. The people of promised prosperity are literally drowning in the sea of financial depression and religious disunity. The nation is decaying, and no one but the prophet has the answer. They have officially gone over the ancient Israel's view of the fiscal cliff. The political and religious leaders are baffled as to how to manage what has reached catastrophic levels. They are overwhelmed, for the famine that started with a word will not end until the word is released. And for some strange and unknowing reason, God has held the tongue of the prophet for 3 years. So for 3 years, they've lived in horrid and hellish conditions. For 3 years, they have watched every resource dry up. For 3 years, they have found themselves overwhelmed and overtaken by external conditions that now impact their internal or intrinsic stability. And then out of nowhere, in the midst of what appears to be a never-ending season of drought, famine, and misery, a word is released. And hope and healing appears to be on the horizon. For the omnipotent and unrivaled God has granted permission to the prophet to deal directly with the dire conditions that have created the famine. He's dealt with the religious disrespect and disregard. He's dealt with the awkwardness of a nation that was created to serve as priests corporately, but are now operating selfishly. He deals with the conditions that have brought about the famine. For the drought, my brothers and sisters, was the instrumentality of God's anger. The drought was simply nothing more than a vessel. The real cause of the famine was that Israel had lost its way. And God decided that for 3 years he would break them, he would melt their hearts, and he would cause a spirit of repentance to overwhelm them. And so for 3 years they've lived as if they have no hope. And then out of nowhere, God speaks a word. Maybe that doesn't excite you today, but the thing that excites me is that at some point in your life, if you trust the God I trust, no matter what you're going through, he will speak a word. And in a singular moment, watch this, a metamorphosis in an incredible astronomical shift occurs, and the famine that was caused by the drought now ends. Now, before we scurry off to shout and speak in tongues and dance and rejoice, let me warn you that this moment did not happen right away. If truth be told, they had to wait 3 years before a change came. They waited 3 years before they got a word from the Lord. They waited 3 years before the drought dried up. They waited 3 years, Carlton, before it got better. They waited 3 years. They waited 3 years. I'm trying to get some of you to get this, because some of you are sitting here today frustrated by the fact, watch this, that you come to church every Sunday morning and you hear me talk about this is the season of favor and this is the time where God is moving, and then you happen to sit next to somebody who is rejoicing and shouting because they're living in that season, and then you wonder, God, when is it going to be my time? But I came to declare that the God that we serve is not a God that leaves you in the famine. Okay, I thought that was going to bless somebody today. I really thought that somebody was going to get excited today, because here's what's powerful. How you manage your famine will determine how God brings you out. How you handle your season when you don't know how you're going to make it is how you will discover that the God who loves you more than you could ever love yourself, he's got the answer to every situation you're going through. And if you will not flinch nor bow to the pain, the pressure, and the uncertainty, I am a living witness that he may not come when you want him, but he will come on time. And so I came to declare that you need to get excited, because your change is about to come. Your breakthrough is about to come. Your season of obvious blessing is about to come. Your door of opportunity is about to come. Your exit off of the highway of hurt is about to come. And because you know it's about to come, you can walk up in here on the last Sunday of the year, lift your hands, open your mouth, and declare it is going to happen. I've come to be the eternal optimist and the man of unshakable faith in your life today, and to remind you that no matter how unsure you are of the timing of God, be confident of the activity of God. For the reality is that it's going to change. As depressed as Sam Cooke sounded, he did not leave us with no hope. He said, for I know a change is going to come. And I really need to encourage someone today, because I know it doesn't look like it's going to get better. But God sent me here to tell you that it's going to change. Okay, some of you are sitting here not understanding. I know it's been a tough season for some of you. I know that some of you are trying to find your way. I know that your broken heart continues to be rebroken by people who claim they would never break it again. But I came to declare that every time somebody lets you down, God picks you back up. That every time you don't know how you're going to make it, he keeps making a way. And so for all of you cynics and for all of you perpetually suffering saints who find pleasure in the pain, I do not want to spend time talking to you today. I want to talk to the encouraged, optimistic, faith-driven believer who believe that this season is not permanent. And even if they can't agree in D.C., God has agreed with me. And God has made a decision that while they may go off the cliff, I'm going to keep on going, because my God is in charge of everything. I have not been preaching about the unbeatable know God's got it, God, and you sitting here going under, the devil is a lie. He is going to bless you. He is going to bring you out. He is going to open doors. He is going to provide, and you ain't seen nothing yet. That's why on the last Sunday of the year, I'm going to shout like it's the first day of a new season, because this day is the day of new opportunity. Here's the tough thing, Casey. For most of us in this room, we spend our lives, Carlton, frustrated by what appears to be the continuation of unresolved situations. We continue to find, Sister Brenda, that things don't seem to be getting better. But here's the thing I came to declare. If you hold on, change is going to come. Oh, I need you to just tell your neighbor, yes, it will. So all of you who are sitting here listening to my sermon and trying to find some kind of meaning in it for you, here's the meaning. You have to last longer than your pain. Okay, you missed that. You got to be able to last longer than the hell you're going through, which means you got to change your attitude so that your situation doesn't become your idol. Y'all missed all of that. And I need you to tell yourself, point to yourself and tell yourself, it's going to get better. Take it from me, it's going to get better. And if you will only believe God beyond what your eyes can see. So here comes the question then, what do you do until it changes? How do you hold on until the famine ends? Watch this. Here it is. First thing you got to do until it changes, Deacon Dan Smith, is respond in faith. Now, here's the awkwardness about this sermon, and Pastor Arthur Jackson and I worked on it together. I appreciate him as my preaching partner. Ahab is really not the most integrous example of authentic spirituality. In fact, Ahab has some challenges. He's married to a domineering woman who has been unfairly labeled as a hussy. Jezebel was not a hussy. Jezebel was a strong woman that was married to a weak man. Okay, you missed it. Jezebel wasn't some made-up floozy that was dancing in the club. Her name was not Chocolate. She was the queen. And we've really done her a disservice. The problem is when you marry weak people, you always look like a villain because they ain't got enough backbone to stand up. Okay, I'm trying to talk to three brothers in here who keeps letting her tell you what to do when you heard God tell you what to do. To our sisters, don't get mad. This ain't a woman bashing sermon, but I got to be faithful to the text. And here is, and so my problem with Ahab said is not that Ahab is a bad man. He's a weak man that doesn't have the courage of God to handle the position he's been promoted to. He is king, and instead of setting the standard, he constantly gets talked out of the standard. Thus, he renegotiates his standard never to be the man God wanted him to be. But in this text, Ahab is helpful. Let me tell you why. Because Ahab is the one that God allows us to connect to when the famine and the drought ends. You got to get this. Some of you have not been the best person you could be, but God ain't going to hold that against you to bring you out. Some of you need to get excited because even in your imperfection, God is still working the miracle of your deliverance. Man, y'all don't even know when to holler. I know some of you been watching people who look like they perfect and they got everything. Boo-boo, don't be fooled by nobody. Ain't nobody perfect in here, Sister Lowe. But thank you, Jesus, that even in my imperfection, he still makes a way out of what? Yes, Lord. Notice then that this man Ahab, Pastor Doug, is not a perfect man, but he does something amazing. The prophet says, go, get up, go, eat and drink. The text says in verse 42, and he went, ate, and drunk. Here's what's powerful. The language of the text is rather intriguing, Veronica. For Elijah tends to reach into the bosom of the cultic experience of every Israelite and employ nomenclature or language that will direct the king's activities. The language suggests, watch this, that he is to do two things. Eat from the Hebrew literally means to devour, to consume until nothing is left. It's literally the word that was used in the previous pericope when it talked about how the fire consumed the sacrifice. So he says, eat everything till it's all gone. Okay, you'll catch it. And then the second thing he says is drink. Now, the word for drink there literally means to get drunk or to celebrate as if it is a feast or a festival. So wait a minute, Shep. He's telling the man, don't leave no evidence of where you were and then act like you going somewhere. Man, I wish I was in the right church, because right there somebody would have hollered. Because when you respond in faith, you don't act like you going through what you going through. And that's why the enemy can't really figure out what to do with you, because you are contradictory in conduct. He thinks he's got you, and you sitting up here in church after your father has died on Christmas acting like you gonna be all right. Okay, some of y'all missing it. You've been through surgery. You've been through hell this year, and you sitting up in here acting like everything is going to be all right. The enemy is going, wait a minute. Last time I saw you, everything had dried up. Last time I saw you, nothing was working. Last time I saw you, he left you by yourself. Last time I saw you, you didn't have enough money to pay attention. And now you sitting up in the house of God with a smile on your face, throwing up your hand and acting like it's going to be all right. Something is wrong. I threw the best punch I had, and you're still standing. I need somebody to wake up and smell the coffee. Because until you learn how to respond in faith, be seated. This has probably been, Dan Farley, one of the themes of my preaching the last month, as I've tried to lift up in simplistic terms this unbeatable, unrivaled, he's got it God. I've tried to help you understand through every sermon over the last month that God has it. What is it? Whatever it is, he got it. Tyrone and Natasha, I wish I had somebody. Whatever your it is, he got it. If it's a him, he got it. If it's a her, he got it. If it's a them, he got it. If it's a situation, and that's why I don't have to go to the Lord giving him your it, because I got my own its. But I'm so glad that he's big enough. He's omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. He is sovereign. He's immutable. He's righteous. He's holy. He has the ability to deal with your it and my it in the same season, and nobody it bumps into each other's it. I need you to shake your neighbor's hand and tell your neighbor, I feel God about to deal with my it this year. I feel God about to handle. Yes, Lord. I feel God about to handle. My God, so I need you to tell your neighbor, get up and eat, man. Get up and eat, woman. Don't sit there and have a pity party. Get up and eat. Get up and believe that God, yes, Lord, is going to do what he promised. I need somebody to jump up and start eating right now. I need you to open your mouth and say, God. All right. Be seated. Here's the challenge for your life, Latson. You got to learn how to respond in faith. Here's been the problem, Brother Melvin. We don't respond in faith. We respond in facts. Okay, you missed it. We don't respond in faith. We respond in facts. We see where we are and we act like where we are. We see where we are and we act like where we are. We see where we are and we act like where we are. We see him acting like an idiot and we get just as dumb as he is. We see her acting mean and we become mean. We see them cussing us out and we go get us 3 words. We see no money in the bank, so we start acting like we ain't got no hope. But I need you to holler at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, what I see ain't what it is. For faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. And since you can't see the word, you got to believe what you hear. And since faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen, that means sometimes I start acting like I got it before I got it, because I understand that if I keep acting like I got it, I'm going to get it, because the God I serve is the God that's able to give you what you need when you need what you need, and he's able to do exceedingly abundantly more than you could ever ask or hope for. Somebody holler, yes! This then is a subtle repositioning of your mindset and a shifting somehow physically. Ahab does what the prophet tells him to do. You got to eventually get to the point where you just believe, Eric, what God says. You just believe. And then you respond according to what you hear. It's got, come on, guys, you got to get to a point where you stop operating, Casey, like watch this, like you need God to do it first before you act like he gonna do it. Okay. This week, on Wednesday, my mom and my dad, my mom celebrated on yesterday her 83rd birthday. And so on Thursday, we drove to Virginia. It's about 9.5 hours going north. It's about 10.5 coming back, because traffic is always different going south than going north. And so we were driving, and my mom and dad knew we were coming, and they knew that we were going to all stay at the house. Now, my mom and dad, basically, when I was at the house, we had 3 bedrooms. But the moment I left, they took furniture out one of the rooms. I think that was a statement that ain't none of y'all welcome back. You can visit, but you know, and then all of the dressers in the other room is filled with their clothes. Okay, which means you live out of a suitcase in their house. Frank Guns thinks he's slick. Well, the thing that was so interesting, he knew we were coming. He knew we were coming, and he knew the girls needed somewhere to sleep. So we were about 3 hours away, Oliver, and he says, well, where y'all gonna sleep? He said, did y'all bring the ambulance? No, Dad, we didn't bring them. He said, oh, my. So he runs out, and when we come back, and by the time we get there, it's about 9 o'clock, Shep. So I walk in prepared to have to go to Walmart or somewhere, and I noticed that the air mattress is sitting there. And I said, Dad, did you? He said, yeah, when you told me that you were, watch this, when you told me that you didn't bring it, I went ahead and made sure it was here when you got here. Okay, y'all don't know when to shout. If you keep moving in the direction of God, he'll make sure once you get there, you got what you need. Okay, some of y'all been complaining all year because you ain't got a surplus, but check your year and see how many times God made sure you had what you needed when you got there. Every time you got the mortgage, you had what you needed. Every time you got the car note, you had what you needed. You didn't have it on your way, but you had it once you got there. It's about 5 folk that can say, God's been meeting me wherever I needed him to be. Flynn, until the change comes, you have to respond in faith. Meaning you got to obey. You got to give until change comes. You got to love until change comes. You got to act like change is coming And then you got to function in faith at such a high level until there's no disagreement between you and God. Stop living your life by what you see. Start living your life by what you hear. If God is telling you you're going to prosper, start acting like you're going to prosper and stop having pity parties like it ain't going to ever get better. My mama got one phrase, and this too. Can I ask anybody a question on my way to my second point? Has anybody ever been through something that looked like it was never going to end, and somehow, some way, amazingly, God made a way out of no way, and the thing you thought was the worst thing became a testimony of the greatest God you could ever know? Come on. You acting like you ain't never been through stuff before, but if you've been through something and it looked like it won't gonna ever get better, you ought to holler at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, it does get better. Here's second thing. Until change comes, watch this, Sister Flowers, you have to retain your focus. You have to retain your focus. When you're going through a season waiting on change, you got to stay focused on what God expects of you. Okay, two things happens in the text. The first thing, verse 42, after he tells Elijah, after Elijah tells the king to go eat, brother, right, the text says, Sister Webb, that he goes up the Mount Carmel, and watch this, Bracy, and he puts his head between his knees, and he prays. Now watch this. The physical posture is, Tommy, a statement of expected answer. He watch this, Paula Banks. He bows in the posture of a man in supplication. His physical posture says, I'm expecting an answer. Okay, watch this. So he goes up to pray because that's what got him through before. That's what kept him in the famine. Okay, you missed it. He never got distracted, even when distraction was legitimate. You do know that there are times when you go through stuff that folks say, you know what, I understand why you responded like that. Has anybody ever done something to you and folks say, you know what, I understand why you got mad? Because in the mind of people, it's justifiable. There is something called justifiable homicide. That there are, in the minds of people, they will, that's what this whole, stand aside thing is about. It's like I have permission based upon a threat to my life to do something to you to protect myself. Well, here's what's awkward. When you're a believer, you don't have permission to act like you don't believe. Even when everybody else gives you permission to. Boy, I'm preaching better than y'all saying that. Here's what's funny. Stop surrounding yourself with people who give you permission to drop your standard and then talk about you when you act like that. That is good. Because the enemy is real smooth. He'll surround you with pity party people who will stroke your ego and create this enabling environment, and you become the sad, lonely, miserable person, and all you ever do is look for people to pat you on the back and say, Dad, then they justify your anger and justify why you mad. Girl, I understand, girl, he was wrong, and they sitting there making you feel like it ain't your fault and ain't nothing wrong with you, and you know what, it shouldn't have happened to you. But I'm learning one thing. If it happened to me, God must be trying to do something else in my life, because my faith declares that even that has redemptive value. So you got to learn how to keep your focus. But here's the second thing, Harriet. The servant follows the same process 7 times, with the first 6 times being no results. Okay. You know what? I really thought that that point was going to bless you, because some of you know the feeling of doing the same thing and seeing nothing change. But the thing you're doing is the thing God told you to do. So you keep doing what God is telling you to do, and you don't see nothing changing. But tell your neighbor, watch this, it doesn't happen the first time, and it doesn't happen the second time, and it doesn't happen the third time. But by the time you get to the seventh time, and I'm not just talking numbers now, I'm talking about when God has shown you that you're able to stay faithful, God will make a way out of no way and will promote you, bless you, and prosper you. Somebody needs to get excited, because your faithfulness is your setup. I am so encouraged by this point, and here's why, Sharon. Because for 17 years, I've served here. For 17 years. And now I understand like never before that God's faithfulness to me is, watch this, is magnified by my willingness to be faithful to him. Faithfulness is not about doing it with immediate payoff. Wow. Faithfulness is not about doing it and then getting paid the next day. I remember first time I ever worked a job, I was greatly disturbed by their payment approach. First of all, didn't understand why this guy by the name of Uncle Sam took as much of my money as he took. But here's the other thing. When I worked, they did something that really kind of threw me off. Watch this. They put a check in the hole. I still don't understand the concept. I worked, Brown, for 2 weeks, and I ain't get no check. Now, I was a little concerned, because I thought if you work, get a check. I went to the manager while they were handing out checks. I was young. Went to the manager while they were handing out checks and said, I noticed you didn't call my name. And he said, well, these first 2 weeks we put the check in the hole. I didn't understand what the whole concept was. I was a little concerned about that. But what was so crazy was that when I got ready to leave the job, the way this company handled it was that whatever the check was in the hole, they gave it to me at the end. Okay, some of you just missed the revelation. I needed it at the end because I was on my way to school, okay? And I needed the money for school. Okay, you missed it. If they had paid me early, I would have spent it. Okay, man, I'm doing the best I can. God loves you so much till he puts some stuff away for you to see if you're going to stay faithful. And when you are faithful, he will show up. Many people are not tithers because they're waiting on God to literally give them the money back tomorrow because they don't understand the concept. But I'm a witness that if you keep giving to the Lord, he will make a way out of. Man, he will blow your mind because just when you need it, he'll do stuff that will make sure that you never go under. Here's what's powerful. Now I move to my last point. This idea then, until the change comes, of retaining your focus. Carlton, there has to come a point where you stay on task, Dion, even when you're in seasons where you have no answers. This is tough for us because we want God to do it today. But what happens when he delays? You got to keep doing what he told you to do. Oh, do I want more people here at 7:30? Yes, I do. But you know what? I'm going to keep preaching till they show up. Because it ain't on me to make them come. It's on me to show up. Okay, I'm trying to help somebody. You're trying to make it better. You just need to do what you're supposed to do and let God do what he promised he. Okay. Tell your neighbor, retain your focus. But here's the last point, and then we're done. And this is my last sermon to you, last Sunday sermon on for 2012. Here it is. Watch this. And this blessed me because we got home about 11:30. Dad, I text you all, let you know I was home. I text some of my leaders, and I got home, and First Lady had to get things together. She hasn't had the best week physically, and so we're trying to make sure she's okay, and I'm trying to get my sermon together because I've been around family, and I've discovered you can't write a sermon in your parents' house. As much as my daddy preached for 40 years, he still want to have a conversation when you got your Bible open. And so I couldn't really work on the sermon. So I got home, and by the time everybody went through their routine, it was 1:15, 1:30. I got to get up at 6 o'clock. I got to get up. Now, I've timed it. My wife gets up much earlier than her because I don't have to do hair. I just shake it and keep it moving. So I'm sitting here, and I'm up at 1:30, and I have this epiphany because I had already written out the point, and I knew that the point was already going to be, okay, a little speculative, but you know what? I think I can get away with it today. But then it hit me because my initial point was reaffirm your future. That's what it was. Said I'll ride out with that. That's an easy close. Reaffirm your future. Until change comes, reaffirm your future. Don't write that. That ain't the point. So I'm sitting here, and I'm struggling with this because it ain't fitting my spirit. And then it hit me. Bing, the light comes on, and all of a sudden the sky opens, and the voice of God bellows down and speaks to my spirit. He says, John, here's the last point. Until your change come, expect a reversal of the famine. Okay, I knew you wasn't going to catch it initially because it doesn't really sound very attractive. But Sabrina, I'm going to say it again, Dara and Natasha, because I want you to get it. Then I'm going to explain it. And if this don't make you shout, I ain't coming tomorrow. Because it made me holler. I woke my wife up and said, you got to hear this. Watch this. Watch this. You got to expect the reversal of the famine. Now, I've watched this text for years, and I've struggled with a couple of facts in the text. One, the fact that he told Ahab to go to your chariot and start riding. He told the man to go to the chariot, start riding. I thought he was trying to make sure the man don't get wet. But when you ain't seen rain for 3 years, you just stay outside all day. It wasn't that he didn't want to get wet. That ain't the revelation. Here's the revelation. I'm sure some of you already caught it, but here's the revelation. The Lord took me to Luke chapter 6, and he showed me something. Jesus tells a parable about these two builders. He says the first builder was a guy who built his house on the sand. The second builder built it on the rock. He says when the floods came, all of a sudden the man built on the rock, he survived, but the man built on sand didn't. Well, here's the context of that text, and thus the context of this point. Notice that when it was the dry season, the riverbeds would dry up. And when the riverbeds dried up, people didn't know they were the riverbeds, and they tried to build houses in places where water was coming. Okay, you missed it. Here it is. They had watched it for 3 years. There was no rain, so everything dried up. And watch what he says. He says, Ahab, I need you to get in your chariot and start riding home. Here's why. Because when it starts raining, I don't want you to get stuck in the mud. In other words, I don't want the blessing to stop you from getting to your next level. So you got to start acting like I'm getting ready to change your situation. So instead of waiting till it rains, start riding like you're going somewhere. Because I don't want you to get stuck on the wrong side of the river, and I don't want you to get stuck in the mud. Somebody better hear me. You need to act like God's getting ready to change it. You need to act like God's getting ready to turn it. You need to act like God's getting ready to make it happen. You need to act like God's getting ready to do it. I need you to tell your neighbor he's gonna do it. So I'm gonna get myself together. I'm not gonna wait till I get there. I'm gonna start acting like I'm already there. Excuse me, I'm shouting and ain't seen no rain yet. I'm running, ain't seen no rain yet. But eyes have not seen, ears have not heard. Somebody holler, it's about to rain. Be seated. Watch this. I'm done. I'm done. Woo! See, some of y'all don't know when to shout. Because you sitting around here waiting for it to rain. You need to act like it's gonna rain. You looking at the sky. You need to start riding your chariot. Tell your neighbor, I know he's gonna turn it. I know he's gonna fix it. I know I'm blessed. I know I'm highly favored. Somebody holler, right! Be seated. On Thursday, Brenda, Lady Sandra Deacon and I celebrated our 1 year anniversary, best year of my life. We celebrated 1 year. Well, when I proposed to her, I knew that I couldn't relocate to Pensacola. I knew she would have to come here. So, I knew in my present one-bedroom apartment, you couldn't add 3 more people. And then a 19-year-old who wanted to have their own room. So, I started looking for somewhere to accommodate my future. But I got a problem, Dan, because I got a 6-year-old at the time, a 7-year-old at the time, and an 11-year-old on their way. A 12-year-old, 11-year-old on their way. I got rooms, but ain't nowhere for them to stay. So 3 months before the wedding, we go shopping. And we purchase furniture for the girls. Cute little princess bed for Taylor and a teenage bed for Deja. We get the sheets and make up the bed. They ain't slept in it. But the furniture's in the house. Well, First Lady and I, well, she has a disagreement with me. I'm not going to say whose fault it was, but she has a concern with me. I didn't do anything wrong. Let me state that. It was a misunderstanding. And she tells me 3 months out, with furniture in the house, we ain't getting married. Really? Oh, no, somebody gonna get married. I bought furniture. Furniture's in the house. And so I'm walking around the house I don't really want by myself. I only got it because 3 more folk are coming. I could have stayed in the 1-bedroom because I was good. I had everything I needed. A TV, a toilet, and a remote control. The perfect bachelor pad. I only got a house because you said you were coming. You said it was about to rain in December. I'm trying to help somebody. Dale got this. So I'm walking around the house, and I am pissed off. I ain't mad. I ain't upset. I'm past that. I meant to want to hurt somebody mad. Because every man knows what it feels like when you ain't done nothing wrong and you still get in trouble. And then, and watch this, and you ain't mad at what I do stupid. You mad at the one thing I didn't do wrong. Okay, y'all brothers gonna sit here and punk out. Don't be scared of your lady. Tell her the truth. Man up, Tommy. Man up, Tyrone. Don't be scared of her. I'm talking to them. Don't look at me like that. My wife's shaking her head. Let me hurry finish this story before I end up on the couch being a man. Oliver, something happened. I'm walking around the house, so I start thinking of how I'm going to sell this furniture. I'm done. I figure if she don't want me and she mad at me and I love her, I figure, you know what? I just sell it, get what I can get for it. And I'm walking through the house and the Holy Ghost says, pick up the phone and apologize. What? For what? He said, for your future. But y'all missed all of that. You want to know why some of you are jacked up in your present? Because you don't know how to fix your future. Man, that's better than y'all need to say. Then it hit me. The activity of getting ready for my future required me in my present to put some stuff in order in me, because when it's time for my future, I don't need to be looking like my past, because sometimes your past mess up your future because you don't know how to fix it in your present. Preach, Pastor Guns. So because I fixed my future by getting my present straight, by getting my past in order, I can look at her a year later and holler, my. Some of y'all ain't caught it yet. You will never get out of your famine until you change how you're handling your situation. You got to start acting like it's going to get better. You got to start acting like, so you know what? If you want a relationship, change, because it's getting ready to come. You want to get out of debt, give, because it's getting ready to come. You ready for a new house, save, because it's getting ready to come. Whatever you're looking for. All right. I'm done. Be seated. I'm done. I'm done. Here's what hit me. Most of us in this room will see delay in reversal of the famine because we don't act like we out while we're still in. The Lord told me 20 of our singles are going to meet their soulmate in 2013. I've never given that word. I heard it in my spirit. But here's what's crazy. 15 of them ain't acting like they coming. So they ain't changing nothing to get ready for what's coming. You got couples who are saying, you know what? 13 gonna be our best year in our marriage. But guess what? You taking 2010 anger, because you ain't fixed what was. Some of you talking about, you know what, I'm ready to get out of debt. But guess what? In 2012, you ain't started giving yet. You ain't a tither yet. And here's what's deep. He ain't fixing 13 till you start acting like you believe in 12. I jokingly told the story, Dan, but here's what's crazy. Most of us in this room will never get ahead of our lives because we're always behind it. Graham, you got that? Most of us will never get ahead. You want to know why? Because Fontaine, we're always behind it. Everything we do is reactive. And nothing we do is proactive. You know what, Dan? I'm expecting a better 13 for this church. So you know what? We've made some changes. I didn't make changes for what was. I made changes for what's coming. We've made changes. We've made some adjustments. We've added people. We've changed some dynamics. We've repositioned some people. We've refocused some areas. So some people have been elevated. Some people have been reassigned. Some people have been shifted. Some things have been changed. Some things have been altered. Why? Not for 12. I slowed the sermon down for this point, and then we're going to pray. Because you're getting ready to go into a year. And honestly, all of us know this. Don, the changing of the year, Julius, don't change nothing. December 31st, 11:59, and January 1, 2013, 12:01, ain't gonna be nothing different but a minute. Ain't nothing going to be different but a minute. You're going to step into a new year, and you've done nothing to prepare yourself for a better year except wake up in a new day. You've done nothing. You've changed nothing. And here's why. Because you don't have a vision of your life. You only have a view of your situation.